Good evening, everybody. If you could make it, call the meeting to order, 7:01. Goal here, since Ryan mentioned the Bruins are on at 7, is to try to finish by 8. So let's see if we can be efficient. And I'm in my office in Boston, which is an oven, so I'd love to get the heck out of here as well. The austerity landlord shuts off the air conditioning at 6 and starts baking us out of here. So anyway, welcome everybody. I think we've got everybody, but Paul Grasso and Casey are not on. We may have a guest or two. I thought I saw someone just join for public input, which is great. So want to review the minutes. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
The only thing I had was, it indicates that Casey was not present, yet she made a comment. Did she show up late?
She came towards the end. Do I count that as a full in person?
Did she vote on everything? Did we have any votes other than?
I think I would put in when you have the attendance, I'd put approximately what time we thought you came in.
Okay, I'll have to
You may
look through
not do
the.
that exactly, but you'd say Casey Atkins entered the meeting at
Yeah, otherwise it without that.
7:30 or whatever. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Just another minor comment. Just add one N to Jen in my name.
I'm sorry. I always do that to you. I'm so sorry.
No big deal. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments on the minutes? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
All right. Second. I'll second, I guess. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right. Minutes are approved.
Probably should do a roll call for those. Just
All right. Okay. So all that approved. Peter approves. Everybody else. Paul, you approve?
Paul Bohm approves, yes.
Yeah. Jen,
Approved,
you
yeah.
approve? Okay.
thank you, Peter.
Thanks. All right. Next is what I don't have the agenda in front of me, but I need to. Public input. Okay. We have someone from the public online. Anybody care to say anything?
Hi, I'm Amy Kaiser. I'm here with a comment on the Giroux design. I saw that on the agenda, but I'm happy to keep
Sorry to
that
cut in. Can you
until
just
that comes up.
give your address?
Sorry, 294 Commonwealth Avenue.
Great.
Do you want to take the comment now, or do you want to wait till Giroux's on the agenda?
So it probably makes sense to have, after we talk about Giroux, to have have her speak. It makes most sense, I would say, if that's okay with you.
Oh, totally fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, great. Next on the agenda, in terms of terms, we don't have any issues with that, right? I assume.
No, we're still waiting for town meeting. And so we would need to renew Paul after the town meeting, and yours would expire after town meeting, Peter.
Right. And the town meeting scheduled for when at this point?
The Patriots' first game, September 13th.
Okay. So this is most likely my last meeting.
That's a Sunday at 1 o'clock up at the high school is the town meeting.
Yep. Right. It's up at Doug White Field, right?
Correct.
Okay. Great. Department update. Ryan, you want to lead the way?
Sure. Well, summer camp's wrapping up right now. I'm going to let Anna take the lead a little bit on summer camp, but it's been a great success. We're thrilled to kind of get back in rec programming and see some of those successes. So Anna, why don't you take the lead on summer camps?
Sure. Let me see if I can do a screen share. I just have a document. There we go. Okay. Can everyone see that okay? Is it too small?
It's fine. You should be able to do
Well, I'll
yeah.
read through it too. So summer camp, like Ryan said, is it working? Summer camp's going really, really great. We are in our last full week of our regular camp. Next week will be post camp, which is significantly smaller. But overall, we had 674 registrations. So that would include if a child registered for weeks 1 through 8, it counts him 8 times. Down from, what we're usually seeing around 1,600 or so. So significantly smaller registration quantity, but really a great summer overall still. In thinking of how we were affected by COVID and some of the limitations that were placed on us this summer, I think it just goes to show the spirit of our department. A lot of people found a lot of silver linings. A lot of things went really well, and all things considered, all the challenges that we faced were in just getting our plans in place before camp started. But we did that really well and really thoroughly, and everything ran smooth. I don't want to jinx myself. We have 3 days left this week, but things ran really, really smooth. Overall, we had 13 kids all summer long that presented at camp with some sort of COVID-related symptom. Oftentimes it was a stomach ache, or we had a couple of kids with a fever or, throw up or something like that. So that was 0.02% of the kids that were there with us out of the 674, all tested negative for COVID. We had no pushback from parents on getting those tests done or staying out of camp for X number of days. Everybody was really, really grateful and did a really great job asking questions, following through as they were asked to by our camp nurse. We had no issues with that sort of stuff at all. I said it before, and I'll say it again, the kids are extremely resilient. We were requiring masks to be worn at camp all day by campers and staff, and that's campers entering K through 5. And they did great. We took plenty of mask breaks where the kids would be spread out. They requested breaks if they needed one from their mask, and everybody did a really, really fantastic job. So we're really optimistic going into the fall with our after school program, and Ryan will talk a little bit about that. But it was a really great summer. Our staff got really creative with activities that we could do that promoted social distancing, staying away from other groups, things like that. We'll be sending an evaluation out to our summer camp families this week. Just looking for feedback. Again, there might be elements of this summer that we're able to keep moving forward. We had no field trips, we had no swimming lessons, and you never heard a complaint from parents or campers. So there might be some small aspects that we can tweak or adjust in summers, in the future, to keep strengthening the program. So all in all, it was a great summer. You'll see on here just the basic revenue numbers by program. So we brought in about 182,000. The biggest challenge of operating a summer camp this year, besides the planning, was just recognizing what the expenses would be. So we still had the same quantity of staff. We still purchased supplies. We purchased a lot of PPE and equipment to make sure that the kids and the staff were safe. So we're hoping when it's all said and done, when the numbers are finalized, that we'll break even. I don't think we're going to profit much from this summer, but I think the value of our program and our service to the community is value enough in that sense. And we weren't going into this summer looking to make a ton of money. We just wanted to make sure that kids had the opportunity to get outside and play, and they certainly did that. So it was a great summer overall. Happy to answer any questions if anyone has any questions about camp and COVID and the kids and anything like that.
That's outstanding. That's great. Great. Is it correct? Am I correct in thinking that we were the only camp that was open in town?
Correct. Yeah,
Couple-
every,
Open late. Target soccer open late, but most of the day camps were closed all summer. And like I said, a couple sports camps opened late in the game.
Are
Right,
there
yeah, I
any
noticed.
other communities, surrounding communities have summer camps?
I say
trying to
Littleton,
think. Yeah, we were so in our bubble, with trying to just move forward for ourselves. I Littleton tried. A lot of limitations for other departments were facility sizes. So if we didn't have access to the schools, and shout out to Lori Hunter for making that happen, we wouldn't have been able to run a camp like we did. So I know a lot of the smaller communities around us ran into that as the problem, and then decided, the value of putting the expenses forward to host 10 kids, in total for the whole summer each week was not going to be worth the efforts. So not many people. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I think I want to second the what I heard about the values of the community. I mean, I had 2 grandchildren in that program, and so I heard a lot about it. But more broadly than that, a uniquely successful, unique in this part of Massachusetts, not within the town, but tremendous
Right.
success. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job.
Thanks.
Excellent.
yeah,
So
it
that-
was- It was.
Did you want me to keep going, Ryan, on other programming stuff, or?
No, we'll hit those coming up later. It was kind of neat also to see a lot of the email responses we were getting of people just talking about their kids getting out and seeing other kids and the positives of that. It was great to share that with the staff and to show how successful it was, and it was I think very appreciated by the participants. So good job, Anna and team.
Thanks.
It's awesome.
We also did support a lot of parents' requests to withdraw as those questions and needs arose. And I'd say when it was all said and done, we were close to $100,000 in refunds for those that didn't want to attend anymore.
One quick question about the pool. When we last had our meeting, the pool was undergoing a fix. I assume that was completely successful because the pool was used.
It wasn't completely successful, but we got it to be operational for the summer. I'm still chasing a little bit of a leak there that I'm meeting with the vendors about and trying to work through that. But it was at a point that we felt that it was operational. I'm not an engineer, so I brought the town engineers in to say, we're leaking this much water. Is that an impact? And the town engineer was like, no, not at all. That's minimal to what you have there. And he works for the water department. It's like, that's nothing. It's, and so, and overall, the pool operation was very successful within that. But
Yeah.
still chasing a little bit of problems there with the age of that facility. That's just kind of the nature of the beast.
Okay,
Thanks.
great.
White Pond. So just to quickly summarize White Pond, we did the reservation system for White Pond. We had about a 65 to 70% turnout rate for reservations. That was probably the biggest topic, is people would come down and see an empty plot or two and then say, well, I can't get reservations, and why was this, and there's an empty plot or two. We managed the best way we could through those. We took a wait list and gave people the opportunity to inform us and cancel and let us know. And we did fill those spots whenever we could. I just think it's hard when people book 4 days in advance and then things come up in life and may forget to update us. The other thing on White Pond is we're going to extend the season through August 30th. We were supposed to close August 23rd. All the colleges not necessarily going back right now. One of the benefits is that the staff are still around a little bit. So we're able to hang on to them through August 30th was the latest I could push that and grab them. So we will extend that. And we will be sending out a evaluation. Same thing we'll do with summer camp, but we'll be sending an evaluation out to the participants and try to really get some feedback, and almost in anticipation that if we have to run it the next year under COVID, how are we going to say, how do we carry on, and what was successful, what wasn't successful, what can we make changes from and to. But overall, I think a very successful season. It feels safe down there. So I think that was the ultimate goal, and giving that opportunity for people in a place where they feel safe.
Great.
Yeah, I just want to quickly talk about White Pond because I pretty much go there every day with my children. And I think you guys have done an excellent job. We didn't do the summer camp like Paul's grandkids, but we go to White Pond every day. And people I talk to were just so thankful that you're able to open it up and we feel safe. And There was a hiccup. Well, it was hard to get reservations the first week or two, but I think you all made good changes. So
Good.
thanks for running that.
Thank you, Jen.
Good job once again. Excellent. Okay.
So, BD, Andy, you want to start with an update on BD?
Yep. So with it, looking at our minutes from June, we were hoping to open at the very end of June. It ended up being, dictated by the state, of course. So we are right on schedule with July 6th as an opening date. With that said, we've been running about 5 weeks, a little over 5 weeks. And with that, we've slowly been developing the membership trust. So we're up to about 300 members back in the door as far as households. That's about a third of our core of memberships. We'll say the core number might be about 900. We're still, not entertaining our 10 visit pass people, still having all of our 3-month people on hold until we'll say the end of summer. And with it, still that's going out to the recurring people as far as that hold piece. So we advertised till the end of the summer. So we're sort of looking at the middle part of September to remove that hold and get people back more engaged in our facility. On the program front, we've continued with the virtual group exercise pieces. We're running 5 classes right now that are profitable in the $500 range after paying instructors. Again, a program that we just wanted to support participation, give the instructors more engagement, and sort of set up the fall a little bit. We anticipate going in person in the fall. We've sort of crunched the numbers as far as what spaces we can be used. We do have some limitations, so nothing would be at BD. There'd be a room offline over at Church Street. So with it, it's a work in progress. And again, the fall for programming starts on Monday, September 14th. Our other piece with programming right now is Aquatics. Again, some big changes as far as spacing and what we can use. So we've got, some good participation numbers with what classes we're offering. They're relatively on the full side. Anticipate a profit about $4,000 there. Again, across the board, we're down in the area of 25% compared to what we should be doing. And with it, we know it's just related to timing and limited programming and limited opportunities. We do have a couple rental groups back with us already. It's the diving of BAD, which is Boston Area Diving. So they have been back in the door, and they're actually ramping up their numbers a little bit this week after we discovered they can safely operate and utilize that pool deck near the dive well to do their practice sessions and follow all the rules that go with it. Bird diving is another group that just came back. They're in their 2nd week, and with it again successfully doing a program that's really engaged with the Concord community, which is nice as well. And I think I saw Laura Diamond is on this call right now. She's one of our outside rental groups, very intricate to giving us broad-based programming related to water therapy for those with needs. We hope to get her back in the next couple weeks. She's got a client base that's diverse. Certainly there's some that are a little bit easier and predictable. So we hope to have those start up and at least get her in the mix there in regards to making reservations and having dedicated predictable times. Our reservation piece continues. That's what we sort of forecasted. We do have some breaks in the schedule right now. We do 90-minute sessions, then we do 30-minute cleanings. We put out a COVID plan on July 3rd, right before our opening. We've changed it once on July 27th to, open up a little bit more opportunities for people when we saw that it could safely be done, and staffing wise, we could manage that as well. We anticipate hopefully another change going into the end of August, like August 31st, that Monday, where we open up more access to the facility in regards to where people can, get reservations, to expansion of the pool opportunity, We're having a lot of success with lap lane right now, and people are enjoying single-use lane. We hope to expand a little bit of that lane use into double-use lane, and again, just meet the needs that we're seeing right now from membership. The other programming piece would be the personal trainers. We've got our 2 full-times back, and with it, they're complemented by 1 part-timer. And with it, we do have a few out there that are waiting till essentially maybe September 1st to come back. It is a slow time of year in the summertime, so we get it in regards to what they're up to, but the 3 trainers that are back are basically doing normal client schedules. So that's been good to see. We've got 1 trainer that's training virtually, and she's about, half of her normal production, we'll say, in the summertime. But again, that's probably related to doing Zoom and virtual, and we're hopeful to get her back later on this fall. She also will do some group exercise for us, and with it, those might even be virtual as well. On the other front, we've got Compass. Had been retained for another 3-year contract, so we did that RFP for the last couple months, and with it had really 2/3-star candidates come in the door. Between the quality of service and the price, we ended up with Compass, which is nice, predictable for us. We know the group. We also know where we can make some improvements. One of those changes, their cost is going up every year.
Compass is the cleaning company. Sorry, Andy. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right.
Yep. So with it, their cost is going up every year. With it was, pretty predictable as far as this new RFP and their bid. But we also, looked at the hours and said, okay, how can we smartly make some changes? So we made some changes that will, save us in an area of, $4,000 a month, even with that price bump. So with it, we're just reducing our hours. We think the quality of service will still be there. Obviously, we've got less need right now, but we look at that long-term piece and saying, okay, we could always change and move forward with some more hours, some different approaches when there becomes a need, when we get more busy. But at least we've got a group that's willing to work with us, and with it, we know who they are, they know who we are. I think that covers it. Any questions jump out? Sorry, that was a little quick.
Well, I mean, it'd be helpful to get the numbers in terms of percent participation and things like that. I didn't hear those. Andy, did you provide those?
Yeah. So just on the membership numbers, we're about 292 for membership households coming back. With it, those have progressed over the week. This last week was a little bit quiet, but our core group of membership is in around the 900 area. So we're thinking we have about a third of our good piece of membership back. We've got a lot of members in that 80+ free category that we need to vet through, and in the short term, they're about 180 strong, and we see about 10 of that free group these days. So there's a good number that have no longer engaged with us that we need to, we'll say, make a corrective fix to that count there. But to have 1/3 of our population back is a bit on par with what the industry is doing right now.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for Andy? Good summary. Appreciate it.
Peter, on the financial update for BD and for Hunt, I believe the town manager's proposal moving forward for next fiscal year is going to be to eliminate the general fund transfers in both the Hunt and BD budget.
So what do you know?
That would be about an $80,000 savings over at BD, and that would be about a $200,000 savings over at the Hunt end of the budget.
Right.
So that's where I believe his proposal will be going. We'll be seeing it in the next couple of days, but that's what I'm hearing from him and from Kate. So I don't have any reason otherwise, unless other things shift around in between. But that's how we're looking forward to that and planning. That's going to be immensely helpful for us, especially BD moving forward. We anticipate financial challenge for the next year or two because I don't think membership numbers and participation numbers are going to be the same as what they were prior to COVID. Hopefully they come back after, but we got to ride out that storm for a little bit here, and that will certainly help us in riding out that storm.
Well, that's great. Good job for advocating that, Ryan. I know that wasn't easy. So.
Well, I think it's crazy times, but I think it was good support we're seeing from that and indicating and realizing that we're going through some challenges and giving us some assistance. That's a huge plus. So
it's great. Good team effort. That's great. Excellent. Okay.
And you want to jump on Visitor Center a little bit?
Yeah.
You had some of that?
Yep, sure. Let me pull up here. All right, so Beth Williams, our Visitor Center and Tourism Manager, is charging forward, and she's doing a great job. The Visitor Center opened on June 22nd, seeing close to 40 visitors a day, so not nearly what we used to see in the height of summer, but a good number and a reason to be open. She restarted walking tours on July 13th, and she's added a couple new tours as well. So we have a standing tour at 1 p.m. every day that people can just walk into the building and attend. And then she's scheduling other specific tours that she's created, including a bike tour that will be starting in the coming weeks, a cemetery tour, and they were doing Little Women tours and other event-specific tours as well. So she's doing a great job getting creative with the resources that are available. All the visitors that come in say they feel very safe, that the COVID plans we have in place and the materials that are there are plentiful and that they're feeling good. They're selling a little bit of merchandise over there this year, which is new, including boxed water, which I guess is just flying off the shelves. And she's continuing to serve as a liaison between the town and the business association and supporting the businesses through all of this, seeing what we can do as a town and community to help them get through, which has included some small events like a punch card where you go to the stores and you get your card punched by them, and then you submit it to the visitor center and you get a prize that the stores have donated, including gift cards and goods, things like that. So haven't had a ton of people participating in it, but they're trying. So spread the word if people are going out and shopping. And she did move forward with printing our advertising brochures through the local, the regional CVB. And she had 5,000 of those printed, and they'll be distributed locally, as well as Plymouth and other neighboring areas, hotels and tourism sites. So that will be great as people get more comfortable coming back out to see us. She also hosted 2 drive-in movies at the high school. Well, the next one is tomorrow night. That sold out very quickly. They took 100 cars per night. And she said they went really great, and she's received lots of thanks and good feedback for those. So it was a great job by Beth taking that on, and it's certainly a program that we'll consider doing in the future. It was wildly popular, and it was free. And then she said she's assisting businesses with the loan programs and some sidewalk sales and stuff in the coming weeks.
So are all the tours getting good participation or not?
No, they're not running consistently. She has, I'd say, 1 a week that will consistently run out of 7 being offered a week. You know, in the beginning, she had 1 group of 10 people that showed up, and then you get 1 person 4 days later. So it really varies. But her staff have been great and very flexible, recognizing that people just aren't showing up like they used to. We used to run tours at least a couple times a week with a minimum of 4 people. So little by little, they're returning.
Okay.
The sidewalk seal, Linda, you might be able to help me with this. I'm trying to remember what Beth had told me. I believe it's this Saturday, and that's West Concord Center in Concord Center, and she's been working closely with Concord Business Partnership and the Economic Vitality Committee, and really trying to work through and trying to get some of those things out on the table. Am I correct, Linda, this Saturday?
That's all correct.
Okay, good.
And how is she spreading the word on the bike tours or the tour? Those haven't started yet? She's just getting it going?
Correct. The bike tours are going to start, I'm sorry, I'm seeing if starting in early September. So I assume she's working on the advertising and finishing up some of the safety details that go with, bike tours.
Yeah.
And is going to be promoting that in the coming weeks. So we'll certainly share it with you guys once it's available.
Excellent.
And as you know, the Zagster program, our bike share program is gone. So she'll be having people bring their own bikes, which we see a lot of in Concord. So hopefully people will be interested in joining that.
Yeah.
And that's all I have for.
Excellent. Okay, thanks. Anna, reopening plans for fall?
So the big thing and the big news is that everybody's looking at is how everybody's going back to school and how's that play out. And if you're not aware, Concord has rolled out a plan to go back to school, K through 5 we're talking about here, for 5 days a week, half days. And then the dismissal would occur at 12:30. Superintendent started conversations with us right away in the beginning and said, I feel I'm going to have a need for childcare and I need to address that. Whatever I do, I need to take a look at that and be able to figure out how that need for childcare goes. So let me also reiterate that when they have dismissal at 12:30, they're going home and they're doing remote learning for the second half of the day till 3:30. So right away, we started the conversations about, rather than being located at Hunt and Harvey Wheeler and busing and crossing kids between different school districts, that the really safest way to do it and manage it would be to run it at the 3 elementary schools. And she's been on support and supportive of that all along. So we're going to have spaces within the 3 elementary schools to be able to run the after-school program right on site. So if your kid is going to school at Alcott, they're not going to leave Alcott. They're going to stay right there and just go to our care right after and stay in our care within the program. So there's a lot of pluses to how we kind of redesigned and set it up. Another element in our redesign is that in the past, we were just doing the extended day program, which was for the most part the 3:30 to 6, and you could kind of a la carte choose what days you wanted to pick. So if you only needed Tuesdays and Thursdays, you could do that. We're now requiring all 5, you're registering for all 5 days for the core program, which is 12:30 to 3:30, which is the remote learning. So in order you be in our program, you have to do all 5 days of that. That keeps the transition of kids going on, one day on the bus, next day not in the bus, they're with our program, they're not with our program. We think it's a lot more manageable for our team to be able to operate that in a safe manner. And it also keeps a more consistent ability, because it is going to be a different challenge for us because it's learning still. That 12:30 to 3:30 time period is a learning time period. And if we have different kids on Monday and on Tuesday and on Thursday, they're all trying to learn the rules and go through with that. So we will require that everybody does the 5-day minimum core program, which is the 12:30 to 3:30. And then from there, we're allowing people to still do the a la carte extended day program. With a 2-day minimum. So if you needed Tuesdays and Thursdays till 6 o'clock, you could sign up for us for Tuesdays and Thursdays till 6 o'clock. You needed all 5 days, you could sign up for all 5 days. And that's very similar to what our existing program was. So it is a change a little bit in the program. I think it's, as we roll everything out COVID related, not everything's perfect for every family. So there'll be some people who are a little upset that we're not just doing that. They can't just do Monday and Tuesday because maybe their work schedule is that they can be home on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for example. But again, I think for us to run it safely and manage the program the best we can, that's the best setup that we've come up with. So we allowed everybody that was in our existing program to continue over in our program, where we're transferring them over. We've been taking a wait list. The wait list is pretty full, has quite a few people on it, because Concord Children's Center won't be able to offer the program anymore because the busing isn't going to occur to their site. So we're really trying to design and lay out so that we can accommodate the needs of the Concord families. So that includes the Concord Children families, Concord Children's Center families. And ultimately I'd like to be able to look at it and say, okay, this many families in Concord need it at this date, before the school year. How do we best be able to accomplish that? And we want to try to reach that number and accomplish that. Staffing is another issue because you have to staff within the ratios. We feel like we're going to have the space at the schools. We met with the 3 principals and we walked through the schools, and we're finalizing what spaces we'll be utilizing. And then we're going to best try to mirror the school system processes that they're doing. So right now we developed all our COVID processes for summer camp, and we have our processes that we feel have been very successful, but we don't want to have families go and have one process during the school day and then come to us in the second half of the day and we're saying it's a different process. So we're going to kind of try to see how their processes lay out and follow them the best we can. We both are licensed by their education's licensed by one format and we're licensed by a childcare format. So we might have differences within there, but we're still waiting to see how those play out. We anticipate it's going to be a fairly large program and a large undertaking. Our general program would have 60 kids at each of the 2 sites at Hunt and at Harvey Wheeler. And then Children's Center had about 60 families in addition. With COVID, you're going to have some people who now can work from home are going to pull their kids out of the program and be home with their kids. And you're going to have some people who now have the need because school's getting dismissed at 12:30. So I feel like that's going to balance out a little bit as we play through. When we looked at our numbers, we kind of went off of Tuesdays because that's the best we had to go off of for history, where dismissal was at that time. And at the 3 sites, we were talking about total numbers, counting Children's Center and our kids, about 70 kids at each of the schools. So we're probably looking about that number, 70 participants at each of the schools is kind of what our anticipation is. Almost going back to when we first started hitting COVID, one of the things I'd said to the commission was, this is going to be one of those things that, one, it's killing us right now, but recreation is either going to boom or bust during COVID. And it's going to really depend on the daycare model and people's needs and how that plays out. And I feel like the way the school program laid out is there's going to be the need for childcare in the community. And I feel like we're set up appropriately to be able to do that and having the spacing in the schools. So I feel like there'll be a lot of activity. Our major focus is going to be on that childcare sector. That's going to be where most of our engines are pumping and trying to figure that out and move forward with that. So we've been doing some interviewing and hiring for the open positions we've had. Zach's departure back in March, and Patty retired just a couple months ago. We've held those positions empty. We've posted those and we've been interviewing, and we're looking for candidates to fill those to assist in the program, very similar to how Marty does right now. That's kind of a quick synopsis of the after school program. We're continuously, we have a call with the superintendent on Friday morning again. So we're continuously working through this and going through making improvements upon it. And I think we'll be making improvements upon it in the first month or 2 of the program. But you guys have any questions regarding?
Yeah, so to be clear, Ryan, you are offering folks that have used it, have signed up or used it in the past, right of first refusal, I guess?
Correct.
To sign up. So you don't, but you have no idea who is going to sign up at this point. You have no idea the participation, but you're anticipating being full with a waiting list?
Correct. We sent out an email and we gave a deadline. And is it next?
The 14th.
Yeah,
Yep. So it'll open to the public on the 15th.
Yeah. And so to our current participants, gave them a deadline of the 14th to say if they were in or not. And then we would open up from the wait list from there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fantastic connection. I'd be surprised if it wasn't in full and in total demand. It's just great. I do have a question about the connection with remote learning. So kids who go home will continue remote learning. Will that be seamless between the after school programs within the school and or just different? How's that going to relate, the different remote learning modules?
Our understanding is, we're going to take a classroom. We're going to try to keep the cohorts into by grades the best we can. So we take a group of first graders with us. They may come from a couple of different classrooms, and they're going to have different teachers, and they're going to have different schedules even within our own pod that we're doing. So our person managing that from 12:30 is going to have student A on one class from 1 to 1:30, and student B gets on at 1:15, and they're going to try to have to help manage through those. Hopefully the older grades, 2 and up, can help and assist. That K and 1 is going to be a lot of managing and going through doing that, as mom and dad are trying to manage that at home as well. So the child at home can be doing the same exact thing that the child's doing in our program. It's just that our child in our program doesn't have someone at the house to go home to right now because they're at work or whatever. They can't get back for the 12:30. So we'll kind of be helping and guiding and assisting through them. The school system is talking about that they're really looking at making some good improvements to their technology piece and really making it one touch type of component that the kids go in, hit the button, one button pops up on their computer, they're able to hit it and get in very clear and easy for them. So, and again, I think that's going to be a work in progress. I don't think September is going to be pretty. I'm hoping it's pretty by October. It's when we go through September, the teachers are going to be learning. They're going to be going through it. I just know from having 2 of my own at home that, we're told there was a Zoom at this time, and then we're all waiting for the Zoom, and then we find out that it was at a different time, and that's just managing our own kids. So we'll be learning and going through that and developing that, but the kids at home are doing the same thing that the kids in our classrooms are doing.
And they also said, if I can interject, that the lunch break will be until about 1:30. So kids have an hour to get home if you're actually going home, or get to our program, eat your lunch. So the hands-on work will be 1:30 to 3:30. And they described it as more independent work. So working on assignments, maybe sitting in with your teacher on a quick tutoring session, things like that. And we also talk with them about students that have different learning needs, and those kids are welcome to sign up for our program as well, and how will we support them if they typically have had a one-on-one aid at school, for instance, and suddenly from 12:30 to 3:30, they're now with us and we don't have the staffing quantities or expertise. And they're hoping to work out plans to support those kids in our program, as the teachers will be staying at the schools to do remote learning. So they'll be there. So we're hoping that if and when we have those kids that sign up that do need a little bit of extra support, we'll be able to work closely with their teachers to make that happen.
Just a quick question about the online learning that takes place after 12:30 with you guys. So does every single student come into school with an iPad? I don't know how it works because my kids are still preschool. Do they have their own computers then for Zoom? And then are they going to bring like headsets or something so the kid next to them isn't hearing their Zoom class?
That's how we envision it, Jen. And the school system's currently working with the school board to talk about technology for all the kids. And that's going to be something that's more managed through the school system. And the connectivity to that will be something that's more managed through the school system. But that's our vision, is that it would be the headsets and kind of a little bit of a quiet time and a space that can all kind of be working on their own computer-based learning centers.
Okay, great.
Okay, excellent. Good job, guys. Yeah, once again, you're ahead of the curve with providing great services during this time for the town. It's greatly appreciated for sure. Did we already talk about the BD Center, Andy?
And did you have any updates on BD, or I think you're just offering the programs coming out, the registration for swim lessons and stuff?
Yeah, we're following the Hunt's release in regards to programming that originally was going to be on the 12th, tomorrow. Got pushed to next week, the 19th. So we'll be putting out our programming pieces for aquatics and group exercise related to some lessons recently learned and following, say the state guidelines. So that's a push that's going to happen next week, and with it websites will be updated, and that in-person programming happening on the 14th of September that week will be more robust, which will be good for us.
Great.
And Anna, do you have anything to add on new other programs? You're muted.
For the sake of time, I won't get into all the details, but as you can imagine, there's quite a few programs that will get canceled based on the current regulations. Those include a lot of our adult sports. our youth basketball program, our ski program, things like that. Things that we will be running will be a handful of in-person sports classes, cooking class. We are going to try and pull off a musical theater program without the singing music part, because singing is not allowed. So singing will happen on Zoom, and practicing and the stage will happen in person. So that will be really great. That's a super popular program. So we are trying to provide a couple in-person opportunities for people to get out of the house and get their kids off the computers. We're also going to be cutting out a couple of our events, our Halloween events. We won't be doing a road race as of right now, but we are going to get creative with different virtual special events. Marty Hutchinson is taking that bull by the horns, and she's really excited and creative, coming up with ideas already. So we'll roll those things out, and that'll be, like Andy said, on the website. We're also going to get a constant contact out soon to let people know about big changes and things regarding registration next week. And we can also send out news flashes on our website. So we'll get that information out. We won't be producing a brochure, a paper brochure. There'll be no mailing, so people will just be referred to our website for the most up-to-date information.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. All right, guys. Facility update.
Oh, sorry. Can I ask one quick question about reopening plans for Carousel, or is that coming later?
Of course. Sorry. Carousel will be reopening. She did a really great job this summer with Kaleidoscope Kids, our preschool summer camp. And we'll be following the same sort of model as we did at camp this year. I think she's closed registration right now to fill 3 classrooms until we get all of our hiring straightened out. But she's had a really good response of returning to half-day Carousel preschool. There won't be any stay and swim or stay and play. Yeah. So it'll just be the basic preschool day for right now.
She's working with the teachers for alternatives, that if, we go through another situation that we did in the past where they could do some continuation of communication with the families and programming, if we do have to go remote component on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw Anita sent a survey about asking for options. And also I have to say, a lot of people appreciated getting a full refund when it was closed. I talked to many friends who went to other schools, and they were very upset they had to continue paying. For maybe 1 Zoom a week, they had to pay full tuition. So it looks great for you guys. So,
yeah,
thanks.
I think that was our concept from the beginning, was if you're not getting the product, you're not paying for it. So, and I think it's going to pay dividends for us in the long run. So.
Yeah, thanks.
Great, good job.
White
Facilities?
White Pond, we're at the stage that they run the proposals by the town staff. They're looking to set up the Natural Resources Commission meeting and be able to present the project to Natural Resources Commission. The White Pond project, just to give you a quick summary of it, is really a lot of ADA and connectivity that occurs within the White Pond, and also stormwater management is a big component there because of the hill and the washout that occurs there. That's really a lot where the money is going to be invested into the White Pond. So it does have a high involvement with the Natural Resources Division and the Natural Resource Commission for how they're designing all those engineering things that take place to really manage the water as it comes down that hill. And then, like I said, managing the flow to make that, now that it's a municipal run facility, the access to the waterfront becomes a lot more, you gotta be more cognitive of people being able to hit that with ADA accessibility regulations. So, you're talking a switchback ramp that comes down. The one thing I like about the design is that it still includes like a straight path stairway going down, not in the current location, but still within that, because if we just did the switchback, people would have found that straight path and cut right through and created issues for us. So that will be going to Natural Resources next. It will be very interesting how that plays out. I think it's all good improvements that will be happening for the health of that water there. Anything that we're doing there is going to be a good improvement for what's the health of the water there.
Any of that going through CPC, or is that just?
Yeah, there's a CPC fund request for the pond. There was some last year and there's some this year's. I wish Paul Grasso was on. He would have nailed down exactly what we have. I don't remember exactly what they're what that played out on, but that is definitely in this year's budget with CPC.
Ryan, do you have a quick summary of the health of the water? Have there been any algal outbreaks this summer? And
Yeah, so saying I'm not a scientist, before I get into that, we've had, so the water gets tested weekly, and it mostly gets tested like every pond in Massachusetts does, you know, for the basic bacteria, and that doesn't include the blue-green algae. And we've always had healthy reports back on that. And then the blue-green algae is really hard. It doesn't have a great testing system, and it's more a visual component. We have had it visual multiple times this summer, in my opinion, way less than what we've had before in the past. I know there is an algae bloom occurring at the pond currently, but if there's an algae bloom happening at the pond and it's not in our swimming area, we can still swim. It's more one of those, a contact component with it. And so we've been able to manage through it, where sometimes it comes on the shore in the morning and all right, we're going to hang out for an hour, and then all of a sudden it washes off. It's not as extensive as I'd seen it last year, where it was almost 20 feet deep when it was coming towards us. So in my opinion, I feel like it's been a healthier summer for that. Again, not a scientist, but based on our closures, there's been less closures for us at the waterfront. And I go down and I check it almost every morning. And last summer, I feel like I would go down and check it every morning and be like, oh boy, what's happening? This summer, I go down and I walk right by. I'm like, oh, great. I can move on with the rest of my day. So in my opinion.
You don't have to be a scientist. It's visual, it's odors, it's nuisance. It's either there or it's not. Yeah.
So, I mean, the big challenge is just that it moves. And so if I go there at 9 and it looks great, I could come back or Ann could show up at 11:30 and be like, oh, we got an issue. And I didn't see that at 9. So.
Well, I think the stormwater improvements are going to really help, because runoff is a big deal.
Okay, great. Thanks. Any other comments on White Pond? Okay. Jerome.
Amy, I'm guessing you want to hear us first and then comment?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. So Jerome, we talked last meeting about some of the things that was occurring with Jerome, and we talked about a letter of support and getting you more information. I did send 2 things to you guys today. That was a synopsis of a meeting led by Kate Hodges. That was an update of what was happening at Jerome and kind of the history of how Jerome played out, including there was the financials with that. And the other thing I also sent was a draft letter of support from the Rec Commission to Jerome. I mean, to support Jerome is what we had talked about before. So that would be for something for you guys to evaluate and look at and move on. Just a quick synopsis summary of kind of where we were last time was just talking about that Jerome, capital projects as a whole, I guess, not just Jerome, what seems to be a topic in discussion as across the town as to whether we'd be progressing capital projects or not under these times. And Jerome was lumped in with that in multiple different ways. But Jerome is being funded by CPC and by capital projects, and it's listed on that report as to how those funds are broken down. And those are mostly scheduled and just ready for town meeting approval. Linda, you can chime in if you have a better update on that than I'm voicing, but it's a lot of those are already considered in the debt schedule. And some of those were from previous fiscal years on that. The concept that town management took, they were kind of originally putting half the money at White Pond, half the money at Jerome. We were going to build both of them simultaneously and then try to get both projects done, was to move forward with one of the projects and kind of lump the money together to get the Jerome project done. And so that the town can see progression in one of the 2 projects sooner than later. And it's, again, in my opinion, I think that's going to be successful, that the towns, one of the comments I hear is, when are we going to get to use Jerome? It's, okay, we bought Giroux, and then we have signs up that say no trespassing. When are we going to get to use it? I think the community would appreciate seeing a public facility that's usable for them. And as we talked in the last meeting, right now, in our opinion, the public parks are a huge asset to the community. I'm seeing a total different use at public parks. People are coming out and enjoying them and picnicking there and doing things in a different way than we've seen in the past. And some of the traditional is still happening there, but it's less of a youth sports world and more of a community world. And I think Giroux would just be an addition to that. And I tried to summarize that a little bit in the letter of support. To wrap up, and Amy, I'm going to let you chime in a little bit on this, to wrap up the last public meeting that Kate ran. A couple components came up that people were questioning, and were asking the town to either reconsider or reevaluate. One was, are we doing the project as a whole? Then there was a lot of people that showed support for the project, but had some questions. One of the issues I think I'm guessing Amy's on for is parking, and that they felt that there was a overabundance of parking allocated out of the gates, and would like to request that be looked at differently. That was one of the concepts. I feel like there was another concept, and I have it in here, that people were questioning. And then natural resources in general was really just, we've scaled things back a little bit in talking to natural resources, because certainly they're looking at it of how we're protecting the pond and how we're protecting the waterfront. And when we start off with recreation, we're saying, how do we get to the waterfront and how do we utilize that and try to blend that together. The project has scaled back a little bit. I would say it's scaled back. Natural Resources Commission will probably tell you it's improved within it to their perspective of it. So we are still creating access to the water, but making it less so. Not as many access points to the water. And so, I think that there will be great benefits for people to be able to get down there and go fishing and put a kayak in and be able to utilize that waterfront. But for the most part, when you walk along the front, and you can see that a little bit in the form I sent over to you, that just shows the paths kind of come off of the water a little bit now, and they're not directly on the water as originally was laid out.
Okay, great. We want to hear some public input from Amy since we're on this topic.
Hi, all. So again, I'm Amy Kaiser. I live at 294 Commonwealth Avenue. I want to say this is my first Parks Commission meeting, so thank you for having me. I've learned a ton, and thank you to the Parks team. You guys are doing awesome work, and I appreciate it every day, but you do whole vistas of things that I wasn't aware you did, so thank you. Thank you for those as well. So I'm a member of the West Concord Advisory Committee, but I'm speaking here for myself, but I did want to relay some of the comments that came up at that meeting, which Ryan very kindly attended our last meeting to share with us some of the updated plans for Giroux. And again, just to reiterate some of the comments that came up at that public forum, just because in this weird world we're living in, meetings are less frequent. The WCAC doesn't meet again until September. And I saw on the agenda that you guys were anticipating a letter of support for this project. And I think it's going to be an amazing addition to the community. I'm enthusiastic about it. I hope it's an enthusiastic letter of support. But as Ryan mentioned, one comment that came up from both committee members and members of the public at the WCAC meeting that I wanted you guys to have the benefit of hearing was that point about parking. As I understand it, and Ryan or others, please correct me if I'm wrong, there are 48 spaces that will be constructed at Giroux. And it struck me, I think others, that we have 50 spaces at Rideout today, which supports all sorts of simultaneous ball games and a playground just packed with kids and all sorts of other activities. And the thought is, if we can get by with about 50 spaces there, it seems like we could get by with less at Giroux, given that, as the program has evolved, it's going to be a very special but largely passive open space, right next to a bike path. and I felt this issue was important enough to bring up again, because of course the parking doesn't come at no cost. That, you know, surface parking spaces cost thousands of dollars a piece. And, you know, I think there are concerns about, as you know, as Ryan said, the desires to have park here. I think that's why people enthusiastically voted for it at town meeting. So, you know, every space we devote to parking is a space that isn't used to park, and is a space that's asphalt and that adds to the impervious surface at the park. So, you know, so the suggestion was, could the town look closely at the number of spaces provided? Do we really need 50 right here in this very special place beside a pond? Could we get away with 30 or 35 or 40? Could we even try that for a season? You know, given that it seems like the big risk here is just some overflow parking on Commonwealth Avenue. Parking on street is allowed on Commonwealth Avenue and doesn't seem to be an issue. A lot of it would likely end up in front of my house, and I'm okay with that. So, you know, just given the trade-offs here, given the world of scarce resources, given that, you know, this is such a special space that I think will be enjoyed for future generations, you know, my sense and the sense I've heard from others is that perhaps it could include fewer parking spaces, and I wanted to give that message to you guys to consider as you were thinking about your endorsement for the park, whether, you know, that was something that some of you also thought would be worth asking the town to continue to think hard about. And of course, that's at your discretion. So those are my comments. I'm happy to elaborate or to go back on mute, but thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you for your input, Amy. You know, it sounds like the primary reason is cost, I guess, and then also just space, and you know, I get it. Are there other reasons that you're concerned about? That
I think the big three, again, are, as you say, cost. I think, you know, in a world of scarce dollars, those are dollars that could instead go to other aspects of the project or could go to White Pond. But I also think it's about the quality of the experience at the park. I think people are looking for a park and recreation experience more than they're looking for a parking experience. And there are so many other ways to get to this park. I think we'd want to encourage folks to use those ways to get to that park. It just seems like, you know, it's not a huge space, this park. And I would hope that we would we wouldn't build more parking than we need. Mm-hmm. So, you know, to me, why wouldn't we build why wouldn't we build a portion of that space as we've designed for all of them, confirm that we need them, and if we do, great, we can go ahead and build them. But if we don't need them, we've saved dollars, we've, you know, improved the environmental performance of the park, we need to mitigate less stormwater. This is a pond that's already struggling with contaminants, as I learned from town staff. And that, again, there's more space for people to enjoy as green space. I'm sorry, that was not as concise as I anticipated.
No, it's fine.
Those are the three reasons why one would want to look closely at that again.
Peter, I would say, just to give the commission a little bit of, because Paul and Jen are fairly new. Peter's seen us talk about parks and facilities. So the recreation department component of the park, it will be limited. When the barn became a pavilion, I think we'll be scaling down our programming. So from my opinion on it, like I think we're more looking at a town public park and the rec commission voicing in on things. And the rec commission has voiced in and talked about the needs and seeing what the needs assessments are for Ride Out, Emerson, different parks around town, and been able to voice in. So that's kind of beyond the recreation department. That is just talking about municipal recreation. So that's kind of a charge that's been with the commission over time. And the commission did a recreation facilities strategic plan in 2014 that it's not talking about parking, just talking about Giroux and White Pond, that many of the things that was brought up in that strategic plan, Giroux and White Pond are immensely helping in addressing a lot of those issues that were talked about in that strategic plan. But Jen and Paul haven't really gone through talking about a park facility and our input of it as a commission about that park facility really till our last meeting discussing Giroux. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little history on that, that you guys kind of just give not only do you voice your opinion about recreation department programs, but you're talking about recreation in the community as a whole. And whether that's, a bike path or a ball field or something that may not be run by the rec department. So that's kind of why you're chiming in a little bit here.
Well, is the parking issue something that we weigh in on, or is that a Natural Resource Commission mandate? Who actually manages that?
You can weigh in on anything, I think.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, as the public, we can.
Yeah.
But, do we have any weight?
My understanding, and this is, Amy's heard this as well, is that the parking number came up from the town engineering department and a traffic study. I know the town engineer, but I wasn't, I don't know enough to know how that's played out or done on that component. And that's a traffic study that looks at Commonwealth Ave and the surrounding area and what's happening for activities, whatever type of component with it. And then just not counter what Amy's saying, but just kind of say what was said by town management in the meeting. Stephen Crane said that he felt that within the town parks, he felt that we don't have enough parking at any town park or facility. Amy, I'm paraphrasing, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was kind of his take on it when brought up in discussion. I think you can weigh in and discuss, and everything we weigh in and discuss is just really saying, hey, here's our opinion, here's what our thought is, and this is what we would be recommending, and they're going to make decisions and things sometimes based on, hey, we can't change that. I do that in my department on a regular basis. People will give their opinion about the reservation system on White Pond. And I say, I can't change that because those are the COVID rules that we set to open with the Board of Health. And then there'll be times that they say, okay, that's your opinion. These opinions are laid out here and all these different things. And we're changing it based on that. Or sometimes they'll say, we're not changing it based on that. So I think you're open to discuss that or voice your opinion on that.
But we don't know if there's code related to this. Usually parking spaces are regulated by code. So
I believe that's where it was drawn from, but I'm not the pro on that. So yeah.
I feel weird chiming in here. I mean, I remember Kate saying that it was derived from a mathematical formula, that it was not guided by zoning code in this case, that it was, a mathematical assessment by the engineer, and that they've come up with an initial number and that she'd negotiated them down a bit. And I mean, so when I'm not involved in town activities or hanging with my family, as a professional, I work as a planner. I'm an urban planner. I work for a campus now, but I mean, I will say, parking requirements, parking codes, parking analysis of how much you need, those are science as well as an art, and it's an evolving area, and I think particularly in, areas that are multi places with strong multimodal connections where people have an opportunity to walk or bike, and particularly in situations where you're looking to encourage people perhaps to walk and bike, sometimes the numbers are higher than would be ideal. I think, and I'll stop there.
yeah, so I think Recreation Commission doesn't, this is not a strength and knowledge that we have. I would defer this to whoever, the planning department or planning committee or whoever regarding this. It's a valid point. For what we want is to make sure that we make a recommendation for the facility as a whole. We're not suggesting how many parking spaces or one way or the other. We just want to make sure it's going to be available for the citizens. I mean, we could just, I think we put in the recommendation that, we just, kind of defer to the powers to be in terms of, how it should be done. But for recreational purposes, we want, because we're not the parks department. So you mentioned that earlier. We're the recreation department. Our purview is for, recreation, not the parks. So arguably, the point you're making should be voiced more to the parks or another department. I would suggest. I don't know, Ryan, do you agree, disagree? Others what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we really, that certainly hasn't been our expertise, so to say, like when we talk about ride out, we didn't talk about parking. And looking at those type of components, we're more talking about accessibility and a walking trail and where's the ball fields and how you're doing that type of stuff is traditionally where this commission is focused, and developing a public park on a waterfront facility is kind of along those lines, and saying that you're supporting that. And again, backpedaling back to Paul's comment is you guys can comment on anything you wanted to.
Of course.
No, my question is just sort of what's in our purview and wheelhouse. And I think Peter, you addressed it.
Right.
We didn't design it, and we're going to use it and recommend uses for it, but the design is another department's purview, really.
Right.
I'm just trying to look for the statement that Peter, you were talking about, and my computer's like tiny print here. So on the draft I had sent to you, we had talked about that you say that we say in it that the town will do their good guidance and
Due diligence.
due diligence and running it safe. It almost leaves it open-ended that the town's gonna,
Do the right thing.
so if we're trying to decide if dogs are going to be leashed or not, you're saying like, town, do your homework and decide if dogs are going to be leashed or not at the park. And we're not going to say that the dogs are going to be leashed at the park or not.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that statement, if anybody else finds it before me, because I'm testing my eyesight right now.
Is it the due diligence comment, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says, subject to further due diligence by the town to review all aspects of operations, including operating expenses and the risks involved.
I mean, you're again, it's your letter of support, so you're welcome to even add upon that and say due diligence of reviewing and the design and layout, the finalization of design and layout or whatever. If you want to leave it open to that, I think in my opinion, again, I think the public's being heard to the select board and to the town manager. It's been voiced to them certainly, so the decision makers have definitely heard it, and it's going to play out through them. I mean, I will be charged with overseeing the management of a construction project as it's handed to me, and they will hand to me how it is. And my mentor in the business used to tell me it's not my rec department, it's the town's rec department. It's not my park, it's the town's park. So they'll establish that. So again, I just don't know if you want to expand upon that or if you're happy with where it's at. And then additionally, I know Paul had some comments that I'm trying to pull up here as well, but Paul, they were more like clerical in it, right?
Well, one was editorial, but it said, where you said it is clear, although not scientific.
Yeah.
Not sure what that meant, and you don't need it. But I understand what you're saying. We haven't done a detailed analysis, but yeah. I think
I just didn't want people to think we've been analyzing the parks and say, oh, it's a 75% higher use of the public parks right now.
This is a good letter. Look, I think our main charge, our main aspiration is to get this thing funded. And that's the town meeting vote on it. This is the biggest issue for us.
So I think I guess with respect to your comments, Amy, I think we appreciate them. I think we don't have kind of the purview or right to make any of those decisions. It's the planning board, it's the parks department, which I think you should probably speak to. We're focused simply on making sure we get the Giroux property approved for recreation purposes. So that's the intent of our letter. And again, I think we do try to suggest in the letter that the town, all the respective departments do the right thing. And hopefully the right thing is, evaluate parking and everything else. So there's a lot more to it. So, but thanks for your input.
Thanks for your time and thanks for listening. I appreciate
All right.
it. Good to
Okay.
virtually meet you all.
Thank you.
I'm going to disappear to put some tiny people to bed. So
Good luck with that.
Thank you. I need it. Thank you all. Take care.
Right,
Be well.
Thank you.
So Peter, we would need a motion for the letter of support.
Yeah, I would like to put forth a motion to support the letter that Ryan put together for supporting the Giroux property, subject to any edits that Paul suggested. Motion to approve.
I move to approve the
Second,
letter.
Jen has second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Peter Hunter approved. Paul?
I approve.
Jen? Okay, you're on mute, Jen.
We read your lips.
We see the hand. Anyway, great. It's approved, well-written letter, and let's hope we get town support and town meeting. I have no idea what the current trend is, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think capital projects is going to be a topic. It's probably going to be the biggest discussion point, in my opinion, on that at town meeting. So we'll see how it plays out. Talking about town meeting, with the other parts, which is topics of relevance, I think we touched upon Giroux Park plenty here, and anticipate that being part of the capital budget discussion at town meeting. Additionally, I don't know if BD will be its own item or if it'll be wrapped up with all the enterprise funds. The BD budget, we're still working on nailing down to give to the town manager. We are anticipating a loss for the next fiscal year. We're still playing, like I said, out, but getting the news that we will not be funding $80,000 back to the general fund would be a huge plus to us. And we still are carrying the fund balance, not that we want to drain out that fund balance, but we still are carrying out the fund balance that will start to help us to go through, a little bit of the absorption of last fiscal year and this fiscal year. As soon as I have that played out, I will try to forward that to you guys so that you can see it before the town meeting and have that so you're aware of it and to the speaking points of it before you get to town meeting or somebody's asking you just before it.
Great. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Any heads up or intelligence before that meeting would be helpful for us as committee members, commission members. So.
Is anybody planning on attending?
I am.
Okay. I'll find you out in midfield, I guess, somewhere.
50-yard line.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Anything else?
No.
So public, reports, Linda, have anything to report for us?
I have a few comments to make anyway. First of all, I want to commend Ryan and the entire staff. I mean, I think that what the year you've gone through in terms of the challenges has just been amazing. And I still hear a lot of energy and ability to look forward. And I think that's really appreciated. And I think more and more understood by people just what your department has gone through. I'm not sure they were as aware in the beginning. But I think there's been more discussion about that now. As I recall at the last meeting, I was charged by both Paul and Ryan to put in a good word for the assessment to your department. And I just want to report and go on record that I did in a couple different places. So I was thrilled to see that the town manager's proposed budget has cut some slack for you, given what you've been through.
Thank you.
And hopefully that holds. The public hearings are coming up, as Ryan mentioned, And I think if someone can be at the public hearing where budgets are discussed, and can't remember at this point whether Giroux been pulled out separately. I don't think so, but certainly the town budget. And that, if someone can be there for that public hearing, that might be an opportunity to be available to support, whether it's Giroux or some of the other activities.
What date is that?
I think that would be on the 17th. That's the joint public hearing between the Finance Committee and the Select Board.
Of August.
Yes, next week.
Next week, okay.
And the material for the public hearings is under the town meeting website on the town website. So you can look there if you need to look at it ahead of time. The other thing I would mention is that the Select Board, as some of you may know, listened to quite a few comments about White Pond this week. And while many of the comments were concerning not only the health of the pond, but the all the extra swimming at Satcham Cove, parking in the neighborhood, all kinds of things. I, for one, asked a question about whether some of these concerns were occurring during the day when your programs were occurring. And the answer that came back was yes. So a lot of people supposedly are going over to Satcham Cove, and I don't know if you've witnessed this or seen this, while you yourself have got your beachfront program going.
So Satcham Cove's quite a eyesight off. I mean, it's really hard to see what's happening over there for the activity. I'm aware that that's been a problem for a while. And it seems to be the most out of control problem area is what's happening. I was in a conversation with Natural Resources and planning to talk about if we can assist with staffing to kind of bring a ranger type of component. Originally, the concept was to have our lifeguards go over and check on the cove a couple times a day. And to me, our focus with the lifeguards is the safety of that waterfront, and they're needed there for if an emergency ever happened. I wouldn't want to have an emergency happen and say, oh, well, we didn't have the right team on place because someone was over, paddle boarded over to the Satcham Cove to tell somebody to get out.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we went back to a couple of our staff that were furloughed and are trying to offer them positions to come in and kind of ranger the site. Talia has some money from Natural Resources, so they would fund it. I'm still waiting to hear back from them. So we're trying to provide assistance there.
Yeah. So I mention it because it's not totally your problem. Yeah. It's a much bigger problem. It's one that we've dealt with previously, but it just seems to have gotten worse during COVID, and also some people feel as though there's additional traffic because of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail visibility to the people who are taking advantage of that and so forth.
I agree, and I feel like if we just extended our season to August 30th. If we as soon as our season ends, if it's still warm out, you're gonna have the same problem at our facility, which is how we started the spring. So when we weren't open and we delayed our opening, people were going down there in droves and really weren't our regular beach users, so to say. They were kind of coming out and no rules. So I think the same issue. So one of the
after our issues, clearly.
Yeah. So would you say it's not necessarily people are using it off hours or on hours? So just we're not creating a public nuisance or anything like that by being open, and so it's something that
obviously you need to be aware of the extent of the issues that are being raised. It's certainly not your problem to totally manage. If you are aware of some things that you inadvertently may be creating some additional activity over there because of people can't access the beach, can't get the reservations, that you're oversubscribed, that kind of thing. But it didn't sound like from your earlier conversation that you are.
We do sell out every day, Linda, and my gut and my opinion is that it's not our typical users. It's not our membership that's going over to Satcham's Cove. It's traditionally been more a college age kids come down and utilizing the facility.
So, yeah, so we don't need to spend a lot more time on this. I just want you to, I wanted everyone to be aware that there's a context here, and that at this point, the select board asked the town manager and Delia to put their heads together and come up with some suggestions about how to manage this to the extent that we can, and come back to the select board. So I just wanted you to be aware of that.
As a plus, Linda, I think just something to say is that us extending the season on the beach to August 30th means you won't have two problems, one at Satcham's Cove and one at White Pond, at least until that August 30th date. And then we can figure out what we're doing.
That's the upshot. That's great. The other thing, you always do such a good job, all of you, of talking about all the plans you're doing and the successes you're having, and you're pretty straightforward about the challenges you're working with as well. And I just want to say that it sounds like the after-school program still has a lot that has to be worked out with the state and some other things. And I think there will be as broad-based support for trying to get that worked out as possible.
Thank you. You got an email, I believe, from
Yes.
Stephen with a letter. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. At town meeting itself, there are many more items that have been added to the consent agenda, as many of you are aware already, in the interest of trying to keep the time on the field manageable for everybody. But that doesn't mean that some issues aren't going to be raised, and Giroux is potentially one of those. And so that's another place where people need to be ready to step up if you need to, in terms of support. And my understanding is that the town moderator is going to have some kind of identified circle where committees, if need be, can convene if there's some kind of action being taken that they haven't had a chance to act on. So that potentially could impact you. But if you're not all there, or you don't have a quorum there, it'll just have to be individuals stepping up to support various issues. So again, I want to end a positive note here. I really mean it when I say I commend all of you, because you really have had quite a year, and it's not over yet.
No, it's not over yet.
Keep up your strength and keep up the good work.
Well, thanks for your support, Linda. You know, I echo this every chair breakfast about the fact that, thank God that the tax revenue is coming in, so all the other departments of the town are being funded, which is great. We don't get that benefit, for the most part, but for maybe 5%, the recreation. So we have the fundamental economic issues that most private organizations have, and we have to accommodate, and we're doing our best.
I hope you're going to be at the chair's breakfast next week and reiterate that, even if you've said it before.
I say it. It's my last time I'm going to be able to say it, since I'll be off the board this time. So I'll say it one more time.
All right.
So anyway, thank you for your support, Linda.
I need to get to another meeting, so I'm going to excuse myself.
Sure. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I think we've already had our public input. That was great comments from Linda. Next meeting, which will be post town meeting, right? So I'm not going to put it in my calendar.
School is scheduled to kick off that September 9th there, correct? So by September 29th, that's the last Tuesday in September, we should have settled down a little bit and be able to get back and kind of give a good report. So that would be my recommendation. So Jen and Paul, is that something that matches your schedule, Tuesday, September 29th?
Yep. That works.
Okay, well, we got two out of having a quorum, so we would need one more. So I will work with Casey and Paul Grasso to see if we can get one of them verified for that date. So let's go with that date at 7 o'clock.
On Zoom.
Yeah.
On Zoom. Great. Excellent.
Peter's going to Zoom bomb us in the middle of it.
Yeah, Zoom bomb you, exactly. Why not? Old time's sake. Well, it's been a pleasure working with all of you. You guys have been great. You know, Ryan, Anna, Andy, been amazing. You know, keep up the good work. And Jen and Paul, you know, appreciate your service and continued service. It's great. It's a great commission. All the things that Linda said are true, and I've been proud to be part of it. And you guys will, I'm sure, continue on.
Peter, it is much appreciated, your efforts. Jen and Paul probably don't even know this, but Peter was extended an additional 3 years from the maximum 6, which is a very rare thing to happen. Outgoing town manager Chris Whalen was in full support of that, and Peter's financial background has been something that's been able to help us and kind of improve us and guide us through some challenging times and issues here. And he's been a huge asset to the department. We're hoping it doesn't end here, but we won't strain you as much.
So who's going to step into the big shoes?
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out coming up, and I can start discussing that and put a vote out at the next meeting to have a chair at least to go play through for the short term here.
Whoever gets the short straw.
Yes.
Somebody not at this meeting, probably, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, great. Well, thanks, everybody. I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Peter, Paul,
Hi, Paul.
Jen. All right. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody.
All
Okay,
right.
keep it up. Great.
Talk to you
Thank you.
soon. All right.
All right. Thanks, Peter.
Good night.
Thank you.